I'm next for Media Watch with James Creedon. Good to see you, James.
Great to know.
Well, we're starting out with the scandal of the week since last Friday. It's called Griveaux Gate. Mm-hmm. And it's all anyone can talk about in the city, it seems.
Absolutely. It's sort of, you could say it's the French version of the Anthony Weiner scandal, Weinergate, and full of as many sort of lewd jokes and images on social media that I can't show you, but you can go and find them yourselves.
Pixelated.
Hashtag Griveaux Gate. So it really has captured the imagination of many. And what's interesting too is there's definitely been a bit of an opposition in terms of how a scandal like this is treated in France, in the French context, and in the US or in Britain. Here, the focus is very much on protection of private life here, the fact that this was a transgression of privacy. There have been many saying that because he put his family front and center of his not front and center, but he did have photo shoots, for example, here with his wife and 3 children. That if you're showing your private life as a part of your image, that there is a degree of hypocrisy where this can boomerang back against you. And images such as this from his campaign as well, going up on social media, which a lot of people felt were cheesy and sort of trying to portray himself in a folksy celebrity type manner. La pipelisation, as they call it here in France, the kind of the blurring of the line between celebrity and politics. And that is what Juan Branco, in the report that you were showing earlier, a lawyer who advised the Russian activist who was responsible for unveiling these videos, he said, look, the hypocrisy here is something that the activist felt justified this stunt, if you like, sharing this video. And indeed, that has been a big focus of the media coverage in the last day or two. The fact that his partner, so this is a Russian activist who had previously nailed his scrotum to Red Square. It's a detail that is difficult to repeat, but he did this as a protest against Vladimir Putin. He was then given political asylum in France and decided that Emmanuel Macron's government has an awful lot of things to answer for as well. And this Benjamin Griveaux, of course, who was the candidate for Paris City Hall for the ruling LREM party, is a very close ally of Emmanuel Macron. So this, some would say, it was, well, it's not some would say. This was clearly done as a sort of
targeted.
It was to target not just Benjamin Griveaux, but I think, the LREM party and Emmanuel Macron. So they, of course, now are in police custody. Alexandra de Tadeo, and a whole lot of speculation as to did they act alone, or was it something more sinister? Were the Russians involved? Of course, the artist in question is Russian, refugee here in France. But some people wondering, could he have acted alone? Would he have acted alone? What was the motivation for all of this? Who would win out of something like this? And indeed, Emmanuel Macron himself spoke at the Munich Security Conference over the weekend and basically insinuated that Russia will, well, he said, this is to quote him, Russia is going to continue to try to destabilize Western democracies through manipulating of social media and various operations in cyberspace, which many people felt was an indirect reference to Benjamin Griveaux. So whether or not it was something where these people acted alone, certainly that's what Benjamin Griveaux's lawyer, Juan Branco, has been saying, or whether it was something broader and more sinister is for now unclear.
Now, Twitter France is being accused of censorship. Is that credible?
Well, they have, again, a lot of indirect answers here. What happened was, as you would imagine, when the story broke, every 5 to 10 seconds on Thursday evening, the eve of Valentine's Day, when Benjamin Griveaux announced he was stepping down, it was all over Twitter. It was a huge Twitter storm, as they say. Yet it was not appearing in the trend topics until after midnight. So despite a whole evening of massive comment online, it sort of curiously didn't appear on the trend topics on Twitter. When asked about this, they didn't directly respond to the accusations of censorship on the trend topics, but they said that we have a zero tolerance policy when it comes to nude content, photos that are nude, because of course this was a private photo, and that are shared without consent. So they're sort of indicating that perhaps the content might have been taken down if it was being shared. Now, another kind of related aspect is many politicians have also come out to say that those who anonymously, if you have an anonymous account on social media and share content like this, that this anonymity should be questioned, and that the legal system should look into whether or not you have a right to be anonymous online. That received a massive blowback, people calling it a faux procès, or a sort of a false debate, really, because in fact, this intimate image was shared not on social media but on a website, and all of those involved in it were actually identified. So the fact that it sort of veered into this debate about anonymous profiles sharing or drawing attention to this online is kind of a side issue and not that relevant. But the president of the National Assembly and various other politicians made this comment that anonymity online is now something we should be looking at, because it is part of the puzzle when it comes to mudslinging and all sorts of incidents, exactly, revenge incidents like this online.
Now, finally, from you, a blackface scandal on French television.
That's right. This is on TF1 television, and it's on their 7 à 8 show, which is a news show that goes out every Sunday evening. Now, this was a lady who wanted to remain anonymous. They often have people who come on and, for whatever reason, want to remain anonymous. She's actually not African or of African origin at all. They gave her blackface, basically, and put an afro sort of wig on her. Now, that led to an absolute slew of criticisms online. People saying, so to hide her identity, they gave her an afro wig, and so what is this? You're disguising people as black. The usual criticisms that come back of blackface. Now, the presenter of the show, Harry Roselmack, you'll note that he's not Caucasian. He said that he was shocked by all of the blowback, and he said that there had previously been guests on this show where, in order to hide their identity, their skin colour was lightened. Now, you would almost wonder, was it a stunt to draw attention to the show, to get publicity, because the whole blackface debate has come back so many times now that it is kind of understood to just be offensive to a lot of people of African ethnicity. But in any case, the move was defended by the presenter of the show, despite causing a certain degree of discomfort and criticism online. So I guess you could say there are two issues where maybe blackface, it's kind of unanimously considered to just be absolutely not acceptable in maybe an Anglo-American context. Similarly, for intimate images of politicians online, that it's over the end, and that there will be a moral judgment, and they would not be defended. Whereas in France, both of these situations seem to have a different cultural approach.
I think it's a conversation we're going to keep having for years and years to come. Unfortunately, we never learn, do we?
Absolutely.
James, thank you very much.
Thanks, Delano.
James Creedon there with Media Watch. We're going to take a quick break. Stay with us. There's more coming up. This is France 24.